Good morning. I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting here at my weekly podcast. And I hope that everybody had a great new year and we're full of hope and joy for the future. I don't know if you're at all like me, but I have several knitting projects lined up. However, I did look around me in my living room where I knit, and I had 6, maybe 7 projects in process. So my goal is to finish one of them I have here with me, and some of you may have seen when I started this. This is a skirt called Interlochen Skirt, and so now I'm going to sort of monogamously knit on this. This is obviously the waist, and this is the bottom. So they're decreased or increases as you go down, so it ends up being kind of a line or a flare, a little bit of a flare skirt. So I'm excited to finish that. So that's my goal, is to do that. And I'm hoping to finish it before the end of the month. That's kind of a timeline I've set for myself. Wanted to tell you about what I'm wearing. This is called Missoni Accomplished by Espace Tricot, and it's a free pattern, which their patterns have always been free, which is awfully nice. It's a top down with increases in the yoke, and it has kind of straight sleeves. I didn't do the third. There's supposed to be 3 of these zigzaggy stripes, and if anybody knows the Missoni knits, they're known for their zigzag kind of thing. So this is a pattern, and unfortunately my printer was out of ink this morning when I printed this off. But this is the pattern, and it's kind of a fun knit. I did it with a yarn that unfortunately we don't have. With something from my stash, and it's pilling a little bit. But I think the gauge on this is DK. So we have lots and lots of DK yarn in the shop. So if you're interested in doing it, and I used, this is a fuzzy yarn with another one for the zigzag. And what I would recommend if you wanted this kind of effect is to do maybe a sport weight with a or a fingering put with a that is my phone beeping at me. Put it with a mohair or a Surrey alpaca, and you'll get this same effect. Anyway, it's a fun knit. I had another sort of funny thing I wanted to show you. This is a cardigan called Winter's Beach, and it's an Andrea Mowry pattern. Beautiful cables, just gorgeous design. Well, we had our knitter that does our knitting, Ellen, knit it, but I always have her do something that will fit me so that when it leaves the shop it can go into my wardrobe. Well, it was a little bit big on me, so I hemmed and hawed because I really love this pattern. The cables are so pretty, and I love a good cardigan. So I went home and wet it and rolled it in a towel and put it in the dryer. Now, mind you, on high heat setting, I kept checking it. You don't want to throw anything in the dryer and walk away because it could shrink into nothing. But I knew it would shrink some, and knitting tends to shrink maybe more vertically than horizontally. So I had to be careful, because where it was too big was the horizontal. It wasn't too long, so I wanted to make sure I didn't do that. So okay, I did it. Now it fits me. I love it. And this was originally done in a gray, I believe. So we had it here in the window, and after a few months, or it was sitting with its back to the window, and you could see it from here. And when I went to take it off of the mannequin, I looked and the back had faded. So I thought, oh no, now what do I do? So I went home, and because I dye yarn, I thought, well, I'm going to dye this, and I had a dye bath already made up of a dark blue. So I dyed it. Now the problem came, and it's fine because I've worn it and people haven't noticed, but I had a couple places where it got a darker blue. I don't know if you can see that it's darker blue there. I think there's somewhere else. However, oh, I think it was maybe under the arm. In any case, I think I've resurrected this and made myself a really gorgeous blue sweater. Now you may not have, you know, a dye setup. Obviously I dye yarn, so I've got the whole thing in my basement. But I think you could use, if you had a situation like this, you could use a RIT dye. I mean, I don't know why, or in a bucket, or I've dyed things in my washing machine. I think you have to run bleach through it afterwards. So this is an example of never say die. I didn't want to, you know, I know people who throw sweaters out and do stuff like that. I don't do that. I don't like to waste stuff, and I suppose when all else failed, I could have unraveled it all and redid it. But this was a lot of work, and of course I didn't do it, Ellen did it. And I wanted to be able to wear it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about short rows, because now, when I first started knitting, I don't remember a short row from anything. And now patterns, a lot of patterns have short rows in them. Well, if you look at this sweater, this is called Swallow something glue. You can't get it online anymore. Unfortunately, they put it in a book, so you'd have to buy the book. In any case, but this is a good example of it. If you see how there's extra fabric here in the back, in the neck. So in order to do that, you do, and it used to be that you would do the front, and then you would do the front back and forth and put the center stitches on a holder and build up here. Now what you would do in order to get that effect, because you do have this, the back of your neck is up higher than the front, and you don't want your sweater to be up around your, you know, around your Adam's apple. That's unpleasant. So in order to give you extra fabric in the back, you do short rows. And what a short row does, you can do it one of two ways. You knit only to a certain point on the back of your sweater, then you turn around and you go back, and you can either go fewer stitches and go back fewer stitches. It involves 2 rows, so you're going to go 2 rows fewer here and 2 stitches fewer here and 2 here, or sometimes it's 3, but it's 2 rows that are involved. And then you can do it each time, do it fewer, and what that would do is it gives you more fabric here in the middle. You also, this is probably adding stitches, so you would go to a certain point here, go back to a certain point, and then you would go back again and do go 3 stitches further than you did the first time, and you go back again and go 3 stitches further here. So what happens is you're adding fabric right here, so it adds contour. So that's the reason to do a short row. It does not change the number of stitches in your row. It's not an increase, it's not a decrease. Increases, you know, would give you more stitches, and decreases would give you fewer. What this is doing is adding depth in here. You can also use it for shaping or for adding more fabric in, like for instance, this is called Vitamin D, a well-known sweater, and what this does is it flares here at the bottom. See how there's more fabric at the bottom than at the top? And what that was a series of short rows in here that added more fabric going down that way. So the two most popular methods of short rows, which I'll demonstrate for you. The other place you might use short rows is in the heel of a sock. A lot of people are doing short row heels in sock to shape the heel, and so you go to a certain distance and then back and back, and that shapes that curve in the sock. So I thought I would demonstrate two of the more popular ones. So there are two common ways of doing a short row. One is called a wrap and turn, and the other is a German short row. So I'm going to show you a German short row because I think it's the easiest. Also, sometimes you'll just turn around if you want to and go the other way. I think Stephen West does a lot of those where he just doesn't do a wrap and turn, he just turns around and knits the other direction. This is a lot cleaner and neater. So I'm at the point where I'm knitting across. Now I'm going to do my German short row. So I turn my yarn around and I slip the stitch on the left needle to the right needle, and I'm going to take it and pull it over the top, and that gives me this double stitch. And you'll see what happens. I'm going to go, now I'm on a purl row, so I brought my yarn to the front and I've purled. And let's say I'm going to do another one, so I turn my work around and I'm going to slip that stitch on my left needle with the yarn in front and bring it over to the right needle, and again I pulled the yarn over the back of the needle and it's making that double stitch, and I continue to knit. But all of a sudden here I am where I did the double stitch before, and you can see it right there, and I'm going to knit those two together, and then you don't see it. And then I can continue on, and you can see that's where I did it. Here's my double stitch back here, so I could do one more. So I'm going to turn my work around, and your instructions will tell you how far to go before you do the German short row. So I'm slipping the stitch. I've made my double stitch by pulling the yarn to the back, and because I'm on a purl row, I'm going to bring this to the front and continue across. And right here is my other double stitch. You can see the two, they're on the needle kind of tightly there, and I'm just going to purl those two together and continue. Here I'm going to continue just to the end of the row. And there you'll see I've done my, then here's a double stitch. When I get back, I will do that one again. I'll knit those two together, and you don't see where I did it. So you can see it's added more depth to this, and these stitches have stayed stationary, so you don't knit those. You're only going to work on a few stitches, and you see how it made that contour. It made this longer right here. So that's a German short row. Now if you want to see a regular wrap and turn, let us know in the place where you can put in questions on YouTube, and we'll do that next time. But I do prefer this. I have an example of how you can also use a German short row. This is a shawl, and I don't have the name of it. The tag fell off. No, it didn't. Yay. This is called the Isabel shawl, and it's on a size 5, so it's a fingering weight. Starts here in the middle, but as you can see, I have these little blips of color. Now how would I make these little things? Well, they're done with short rows. So I go across in this row, and then I just am knitting on these stitches till I get that shape, and then I continue on. and do it again. So it's also a design technique that you can use. And you'll see in a lot of shawls ones that are like half circles or semicircles. They're often short rows in those to create that crescent. It's a crescent shape. So that's about all I have today. I did want to mention one quick thing. Again, another little tip. Somebody came in the other day with a problem with a pattern and was confused, didn't know what to do. As it turns out, she hadn't, and not to malign her in any way, because she was a very earnest, good knitter, but she hadn't thoroughly read the pattern. You need to read all of the beginning information in a pattern. They'll tell you that certain things are going to happen or it's knit a certain way. And if you just find your gauge and the needle you're supposed to do and the amount of yarn that you're supposed to have and then skip over to the cast on, that can be a big problem because you may have missed something really critical. And in this case, there was some pertinent information. They don't, when a designer makes a pattern, I'm pretty sure they try to make it as succinct as possible, to not have a lot of extra words in there, like extra directions. So it would be smart to make yourself read all those things because they're putting them in for you to make it a better knitting experience for you, or better, easier pattern to knit. So it's really important that you read the beginning of your pattern. It will also save you a trip. Not that we always love to help people, and we're here every day with lots of help. My staff is pretty experienced, and I haven't seen them stumped yet. So if you really can't figure something out, but if you have a problem, go back and read the beginning of the pattern, and your answer might be right there, or it could be at the end of the pattern. But it's a smart idea. So that said, that's my little lecture for today, and I hope you have a great week of knitting. I plan on doing some this afternoon if we're not too busy here. It's kind of a glum, rainy, dreary day. So until next time, happy knitting.